Hi everyone, and welcome to day 5 of Play NYC 2020. I can't believe it's already Friday, but we've got an incredible lineup of 3 hours for you tonight. Let's get started. There's no doubt that the interactive world of Red Dead Redemption 2 is among the most realistic and immersive that games have ever seen. A big part about what makes it so special is the realistic face animation of the characters that you encounter. Please join me in welcoming Sarah LaPena Onheiber from Rockstar Games. She's here to give you a peek at these characters and how they come to life. And she's also here to give you some tips if you're looking to forge your own path in animation for games. Let's check it out.
Hello, Play NYC. This is Talking Faces, face animation for Red Dead Redemption 2. I am Sarah LaPena Onheiber, and I'm the Associate Animation Director for Face at Rockstar Games. I'm based out of our San Diego office, but I'm currently joining you from my home in San Clemente, California. Throughout this presentation, you'll see me here at the bottom corner. Occasionally, I'm going to go away so that you can get a better look at what's going on, but please don't worry, I'll be back at the end. Throughout this presentation, I'm going to start with a little bit about me, my school and my early career, working at Rockstar, and how I manage my family life being a mom and working full-time. We'll then have an introduction to Rockstar Games, followed by the face animation for Red Dead Redemption 2, performance capture, and how we use it in our different areas of the game for cinematics and gameplay. And finally, we'll finish with the facial animation techniques that you can take with you to use whether you're working at a company or just a student starting out. So let's get started. I grew up in a small town in upstate New York, just north of Syracuse, and I always loved art and drawing and painting, and I loved Disney movies. Around the age of 9, my parents took our family to Disney World, and that is where I saw animators working. And at the time, it was traditional hand-drawn animators. You could watch them work and watch some videos about what they were doing, and this really sparked my interest in becoming an animator. You can see in the photo here that I'm the tallest one in the picture. That's me, my sister Jessica, and my cousin Dee. My parents were extremely encouraging of this, and they allowed me to go to college 3,000 miles away from home in California at Laguna College of Art and Design. I majored in feature animation and had a little exposure to games. One of my first exposures to Rockstar Games was playing GTA Vice City with a gamer friend who told me, I really love their stories, as we stole cars and crashed them. It was kind of an interesting introduction, but I kept that with me because I really trusted his advice on the fact that Rockstar had great stories. After I finished college, I started work at Barnyard, the movie. I started there as an intern a little bit before graduation, and then was able to move my way up to a fix animator where I worked on mostly ears, tails, animating those types of things, and then I went on to fixing geometry and clipping issues that the characters had. And then I finally moved on to become an animator for the team and was able to complete about 5 or 6 shots before the end of production. After Barnyard, I went to work on Happy Feet in Sydney, Australia. I got hired there because I wrote a really compelling cover letter, and the animation supervisor was interested in my story of how I worked my way up at Barnyard. And so he gave me an opportunity because I had no experience in motion capture or strong experience in facial animation. And that's what I was hired to do, was to clean up some motion capture and to animate penguins singing and dancing. And so this was my first exposure to working solely on facial animation, because they didn't capture their faces at the time, and it was a bunch of penguins, but it was really fun and kind of sparked my interest in this as a specialty. Between my longer jobs, I worked short contracts and commercials throughout Los Angeles after finishing on Happy Feet. These kind of sprinkled in throughout my career. I worked on music videos and commercials and just things that needed little bits of animation. And then after a bit of a break and some travel, I got a job at a company called Image Metrics, who specialized in facial animation. They worked with lots of different studios on movies, commercials, and games. However, one of their largest clients was Rockstar Games. And this is where I got my real introduction to Rockstar. And this is also where I met my husband, Matt. With Image Metrics, I worked on cutscenes for Grand Theft Auto 4, subsequent DLC packs, Midnight Club, Red Dead Redemption, A Dead Nightmare, and the first half of Max Payne 3. While I was working on Max Payne 3, I really got to know some of the people out of the Rockstar San Diego studio, and that was how I was able to get a job with Rockstar as Image Metrics was kind of dissolving and becoming separate companies. I was hired at Rockstar in August of 2011 as a senior face animator and came on to finish Max Payne 3. My husband Matt was also hired at Rockstar and was working during this time, but has since gone on to work for Blizzard Animation as a senior animator in their cinematics department. We planned a wedding and got married and talked about when to start a family, but we figured we needed a little more time for travel. Luckily, we got to travel for work and also did some personal travel. And I got pregnant just before we shipped Grand Theft Auto 5. In April of 2014, we had our daughter Sienna, and I came back from maternity leave to the start of face production on Red Dead Redemption 2. I was learning how to be a mom and balance work, all while working on a project that I was so excited for. When I accepted the position at Rockstar, I was hoping there was going to be another Red Dead Redemption. I had so much fun working with those characters. Throughout production, I learned what each of the different animation teams did and how face could be applied, all while raising a new baby. It was hard, to say the least, to juggle motherhood, work, and being a good wife and friend. Rockstar was very supportive when I came back to work. I continued to ask for more responsibility through this time, and they worked with me to make sure that those opportunities were available. In 2016, I was promoted to lead face animator, and at the end of 2018, after RDR2 shipped, I was promoted to associate animation director. Having a leadership position and being a mom, I will often be asked, how do you do it? At first, this took me by surprise because I wasn't doing anything but surviving, making it one day at a time. But then I realized how few women stay in this industry after starting a family, and it made me think. There was no secret sauce to getting it all done or making sure that I always had it all together. I forgot stuff. I am at school events when I can be. I adjust my work hours so that I can be there for some things, but there are inevitably times when I just can't balance it all. And I give myself a break and realize it's okay, often with a reminder from my husband, Matt, or my mom. Matt is a huge component to my success. He has always supported my choice to work. Our jobs are equally important, second to our family. We discuss who's going to take the day off if Sienna is sick, or who will take her to a birthday party or volunteer at school. Matt does most of the school drop-offs, and when that was a thing, and I do most of the homework help. We make a good team and communicate often about everything from our relationship to Sienna. My parents were also great role models. My mom worked for a government defense company, working her way up over a 30-year career, while my dad ran his own business. They worked hard. They both encouraged me to pick a career doing something that I loved, to enjoy going to work every day. My parents' hard work paid off and they were able to retire early, and now my mom, dad, and my sister live about 20 minutes away from us and help care for Sienna. When school was in session, my mom would volunteer at the school, and every day they would pick her up from school and watch her afterwards. Now that we're working from home, they have her for overnight visits about once a week. And we've been a quarantine pod from the very beginning, taking every precaution. Knowing that my daughter is loved and cared for when I'm not around makes it much easier to go to work and to travel for work when necessary. My long answer to how I do it is having a good support system, both inside and out of work. Now that we are working from home, this support system has been a bit upended. We've spent every day together for the last 4 months. As you can see, I work out of a closet in our guest room. This used to be where my sewing machines lived. I'm lucky that I don't have to share an office with my 6-year-old like my husband does. They're in what should be our dining room. We have repurposed places and rooms in our house wherever possible to make this new at-home situation work. Sienna does come up to visit my office on occasion with her lap desk and her work, and she'll work on the floor. And we have 2 cats who also visit from time to time and jump around. For the most part, I'm extremely lucky to have a space with a door that I can close for meetings. Work for home has been a challenge with virtual school and work, and there were plenty of bumps in the road at the beginning. Internet issues, Zoom schedules, noises from each person's workspace interrupting each other. Rockstar has been extremely flexible, and there have been quite a few positives to working from home. For example, we get to spend our extra time that we used to spend commuting with family dinners, and we get to have lunch together during the day. Getting involved with local networking groups is an important way to help build this support system. It starts during college and continues throughout your career. I've put together this list of a few different organizations that I know operate globally. And you can check out their websites to see if they have anything going on right now. But to continue to stay connected during this time, you can try Zoom happy hours, online movie nights or TV shows, or online gaming. This support system has been so important and has helped me get and maintain jobs throughout my career. Now that we've heard about me and how I got to Rockstar Games, let's talk about Rockstar. Rockstar Games was founded in 1998 with the idea that one day games would be as central to culture as other media such as film, music, and TV. They revolutionized the open world genre with Grand Theft Auto 3 in 2001. Grand Theft Auto 5 is the most successful entertainment product of all time, and the combined sales of GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 is over 150 million copies. Here is a video highlighting the work that Rockstar has done throughout the years. After that awesome introduction video, now let's talk about face animation in Red Dead Redemption 2. We'll start with the face animation overview. At Rockstar, face animation is a specialized area of expertise with a separate team. Face animators are extremely detail-oriented. Some people may think that looking at faces all day is boring, but once you really start to see how faces move, you can pick up on their subtle differences. When it's done correctly, it goes unnoticed, but as soon as it feels off, people are drawn to it. Face animation helps create a more immersive environment in our games. Face animation helps to portray the emotional content and sells the connection between our characters, which is an important part of storytelling. To show some of this, here is a highlight reel of Arthur Morgan's face animations.
This whole thing is pretty much done. We're more ghosts than people.
Just one more.
And there's always a goddamn train. When the time comes, you gotta run and don't look back. This is over.
Those animations that you just saw were possible because of the incredible actors we had working on Red Dead Redemption 2. These actors are captured using performance capture. This is a process of capturing body and face together. Face is captured with the body using a single head-mounted camera with a light. Actors are cast as specific characters. This allows to have a cohesive performance from the body to the face. It allows for us to capture eye lines and reactions and the acting between the lines of dialogue. No markers are used on the face. A large portion of our performance capture is captured in New York. During the performance capture process, we capture a ROM. This is a range of motion and it's used to help us solve for animation. Our ROM consists of 3 sections: the eyes and brows, the mouth, cheeks, and phonemes, and finally a line of dialogue said in multiple emotions. Here's an example of a few of these lines of dialogue said by Roger Clark, who plays Arthur Morgan.
Be that as it may, there is no fucking way that shit will slide. Not tonight, not ever. Be that as it may, there is no fucking way that shit will slide. Not tonight, not ever. Be that as it may, there is no fucking way that shit will slide. Not tonight, not ever.
Using the ROM video and Dynamics Performer, we create a profile. Dynamics Performer is a pose-based solver that we use to track and solve our facial animations. Profiles are a collection of extreme or unique poses custom to each actor that allow us to share these poses across multiple performances. Profiles are then used to solve for all of our other performances with that actor. Each profile starts with the annotation process. You can see in this video that we're lining up all of these tracking dots with the actor's facial features. We're choosing the extreme poses, the asymmetries, and your basic phoneme shapes. Step 2 in our process to making a profile is posing the rig to match the actor based on the tracking poses that we've set in the previous step. The one thing that's different here is that we may choose to only set the upper portion of the face, the eye look, or the lower portion of the face independently or all together, or some combination of them. You can see this in the video that I'm about to play. For consistency, we have our lead or senior animators set up these profiles and choose these poses. This really helps us throughout production. After we've set our poses, we then solve the animation. You can see we have the tracking here on the left, the solve in the middle, and a cleaned up version of our solve. Now generally we wouldn't put a cleaned up solve into the game for a ROM, but this is more as an example to show you what we do with the data after it's been through the solve process. We always try to be true to the actor, however, you can see that we've animated the tongue and cleaned up any pops. This is also a different section of the ROM, so you can see other emotions that our actors perform. Once this is approved, this is what we call our profile.
Be that as it may, there's no fucking way that shit will slide. Not tonight, not ever. Be that as it may, there is no fucking way that shit will slide. Not tonight, not ever.
Now that we know where the face data originates, we can discuss how we use this data to create different types of face animation and where they exist in the game. This is a high-level overview, and we'll go into more detail as we progress. Facial animation in Red Dead Redemption 2 has 2 areas of focus containing 3 different types of animation. The first area of focus being cinematics. This is probably the most known type of face animation. Cinematics are generally used for storytelling. This type of face animation is animation driven. The face and the body are in sync and played back in the game together. The second area of focus is gameplay. These animations exist in the rest of the game world and help to make it more immersive. We have 2 types of animation that encompass gameplay. Moods. These are how we create an emotional state on our characters. And audio-driven. These are the lines of dialogue played outside of cinematics on PEDs in the world. Some examples are shopkeepers, bartenders, and people you pass in town. The player and the companions talking in camp or on long horse rides. The face animation for audio-driven is merged with the audio file and played back in-game together. Cinematic face animation is comprised mostly of storytelling animations in our game. They are here to kick off missions or help guide you through. Here is a video comprised mostly of cinematic content.
Sons of Dutch makes us brothers. Sometimes brothers make mistakes.
Get out here! Stay strong. Stay with me.
Animation-driven face is captured with the body and played back together in the game. This allows for a high-quality animation that is cohesive between the body and the face performance. For example, eye lines and non-dialogue reactions are all part of this animation. Edits are made to timing from the original capture to make sure the pacing is correct. Each face animation in a cutscene is animated separately per character. The face animation is then added back to the body performance for in-game export, and then we can start to polish from there. Animation is completed for the entire face before we worry about beards, masks, glasses, or hats. Sometimes for our player characters, we never know what they're going to have, so the animation has to look good without them. There are multiple passes of animation after the solve to get to the quality needed. This is based on many factors: the distance the character is from the camera, the amount the character is moving, or additional direction or changes that we've needed since the capture was done. Scenes are reviewed in the game for final approval. Cinematics is comprised of two different types of animations, cutscenes and scripted scenes. We'll now go into those. During cutscenes, player control is taken over. These are the movie bits of the game. Cutscenes use cameras to tell the best story, and the cutscenes establish the quality bar and look for our characters. They receive our highest level of polish, and at the beginning of production, we use them to create what we call our benchmark scenes. These benchmark scenes are where we establish the personalities of the characters, how we're going to interpret the actor onto the character rig, and they allow us to have a touchstone point throughout production if there are ever any changes to that character asset, to be able to go back and look at it and make sure that it's still the character that we've have grown to love. Now we will watch a video of a cutscene. In this video, you can see a lot of what I've mentioned about the reactions the actors have. And another thing to watch for is how Sadie talks through her teeth more than Arthur does. This was something her actress did that we loved and made sure came through in the animation.
My husband and I, we shared the work. All of it. I was out in the fields. I can hunt, carry a knife, or use a gun. But I tell you, you keep me here, I'll skin this fat old coot and serve him for dinner!
Watch your damn mouth, you crazy goddamn fishwife!
Ah!
Enough, both of you! Well, come with me then. You want to head out there, run with the men? So be it. But we do more than just hunting. We're hunted. And them things hunting us, whether they got guns of their own.
I ain't afraid of dying.
Now onto the second type of cinematic content, scripted animations. These are sometimes harder to identify when playing in the game. They're performance animations that are not cutscenes. They bridge the gap between a full cutscene and AI. Some examples are sometimes there's a specific exit of a wagon, a breaking into a bank vault, a horse mount while delivering lines of dialogue in a specific way. These are generally triggered by the player's proximity, and scripted scenes don't usually take over full player control, so they're a little less obvious. Sometimes they don't even contain the player. These scenes have more options and flexibility, such as directional approaches and the ability to exit quickly or to deliver different lines of dialogue. Now we watch a video containing scripted content.
Bastard! I didn't do nothing! Ah! Damn fool!
Arthur! Let's go, quick!
Now that we've talked about cinematics, we're going to talk about gameplay. These animations are used to make our worlds more immersive. For Red Dead Redemption 2, we had lots of areas of gameplay to cover. Locomotion, melee, ambient peds, peds at the bar drinking, smoking, and doing odd jobs around town. To cover all of these different areas of gameplay, we had two types of animation. The first type is mood animation. The work done for moods is more generic and can be shared across multiple peds independent of how they look or their gender. We captured face for moods separate from the body animation so that we could really direct the face performance. We also used hand key to do things that were just impossible to have captured, that wouldn't be safe for an actor to wear the head camera. There were two components to mood animations. Our loops. These were looping animations that are about 200 to 500 frames long, and they began and end in the same position. These were more generic. We tried to keep as much of the personality things out, but we really just wanted them to set the overall facial pose. The second part of moods were one-shots. These are the things that added a little bit of personality to the mood animation. Maybe a press of the lips, a smirk or a smile, a longer blink, a raise of the brows, things like this that we could add to really help add personality. The second type of face animation that is part of gameplay is audio-driven. Audio-driven face is used for the lines of dialogue where we need to have a variety of dialogue and use it over any body animation anywhere in the world. The audio is captured per line. For example, "Hello, how are you doing this morning? I'm so glad the rain stopped." Audio and face are merged together and played back in the game via an audio trigger. Our pets in the ambient world use this type of dialogue to talk. The player when he's not in a cinematic, gang members, ambient pets, bar patrons, butchers, and shopkeepers. The mood system is combined with audio-driven to give you the performance that you will see in this next video.
Come on, pretty boy. Pretty boy? Kid. We need to get those people warm and fed.
Those were the types of face animation and the areas of face animation in Red Dead Redemption 2. Now we will go over some stats from production. The face animation team for Red Dead Redemption 2 was comprised of over 70 animators, tech animators, and dev assistants. The team spans 3 continents. There were about 20,000 face animation assignments. This was all passes of animation from initial solve through polish pass over a 5-year production. Every single face in Red Dead Redemption 2 had animation that came through the face department, unlike previous projects where we used text to animation software. There were over 500,000 lines of dialogue. Now that we have talked about the types of animation and how we did it, I'm going to go over some face animation tips for better animation and workflows. Find or shoot reference if performance capture isn't available, or use a mirror and act it out. Watch the performance. What makes it unique? Are there asymmetries? Are they talking through gritted teeth? Do they talk out of one side of their mouth? Do they smile in a specific way? Maybe one corner leads the other before the other joins it. If you don't have this reference, you should then try to make these decisions before you start animating so you can keep them consistent. The way we do that at Rockstar is we use pose libraries and solvers like dynamics and the profiles that we outlined earlier. Remember when animating the face that the whole face moves and is connected. The jaw moves and it pulls on the cheeks, or they smile and the cheeks push up the lower eyelids. These are all things that we often forget when hand keying animations. Don't forget to animate the brows and the eyes, and make sure you have eye darts. This is where most people connect with our characters, and you want to make sure that it has life and it's kept alive. Lip sync. This is an important part. Make sure that you're pushing your shapes and your phonemes and that they read clearly. We often exaggerate these shapes based on our camera angles. We may cheat the jaw away from the actor sometimes if necessary, if they're running across the back of a scene and we need to open the jaw more. Another tip I have is that in a close-up or a mid-shot, the jaw animation shouldn't be open the same amount of time for the whole line. So each open shouldn't be the same value. We should have variation. One of the things that we've done at Rockstar is to develop a common language for notes and discussions. This is what we call our notes glossary. This allows us to give a note like add a blink at a specific frame number and have everyone on the animation team understand it. We publish a page of all of our note terms on a common hub so that everybody can reference them and get the definitions if they're unfamiliar. So for us, when we say blink at frame 242, that's the first closed frame of our blink. And we're asking for that animator to do a 3 frames to close, 2 frames closed, and 4 frames to open. This allows us to have a common language to start from and an easy way for everyone to follow. Another term that we use is push anchor shapes. This means that the shapes need to be stronger or held for longer. We need to close our mouth shapes and teeth touching shapes, and we want them to be held for 2 frames wherever possible. This does not mean that we add extra jaw opens or closes. Additions like these don't help when pushing anchor shapes or cleaning up the dialogue, as they tend to feel unnatural and often would introduce pops instead. Cushioning into shapes. Covering our teeth going into or coming out of an MBP, an U shape, or an FB. It gives the illusion that the shape is held for longer. Sometimes for an U shape, it's just starting that narrowing of the mouth before the mouth actually hits that pose. This is how we keep all of our animators working in a common language and keep the consistency from one animator to the next. Here is our global face animation team. As you can see, there are a lot of us. So this common language that we've established helps us so much. I want to give a big shout out to all of them for being an amazing team of hardworking people. One of the silver linings of work from home has been the amount of time that we get to see everybody through all of the video calls that we've been doing. There's also quite a few who helped me get this presentation together or kept things moving while I took the time to work on it. So thank you very much. On this slide, you can see the larger Rockstar icons are where the face animation teams are. We span 3 continents and are in 4 different studios currently. You can see the other locations are highlighted with the smaller Rockstar logos. I want to say a special thanks to Play NYC who invited me to do this talk and to Rockstar Games for making it possible. And lastly, I need to thank my family, to Sienna for sharing her mom, and to my husband Matt, who's the best partner I could ask for. As you can see from our previous slide, Rockstar is hiring. If you would like to find out about any of our openings, please visit our website listed here. Follow us at Rockstar Games on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And if you'd like to follow me, I'm at Sarah LaPena on